Potash CEO Bill Doyle has called BHP's $40 billion hostile bid the equivalent of stealing the company. But you have to wonder how long he can hold out, because if the bid is successful, Doyle stands to walk away with some $445 million. In the meantime, let's try to handicap what happens next. Dahlman Rose analyst Charles Neivert is with us by phone. Prior to joining Dahlman, Neivert's boutique shop Neivert & Associates received top honors from institutional investor for 9 consecutive years. Charles, what do you think happens next?
Well, I think basically we're going to have a little bit of a waiting game while BHP and Potash shareholders mull the offer, but we think ultimately that the price is going to have to go higher than the $130 offered right now.
We have heard $175, $180. I've even heard $200 thrown out there. What do you think is a reasonable price for potash, and how far do you think BHP is willing to go?
Well, we think that the price is going to have to go above or around $150 or more. Certainly all those numbers that you just talked about are possible. In fact, Potash Corp itself bought in shares about a year and a half ago, I think toward the end of '08, at numbers in that region. But we think once it gets a little bit north of 150, maybe a little north of 160, BHP might have some second thoughts. It isn't a matter of whether they can raise the money or not. It's just at that price, the value becomes a little different.
Right. How about the other half of the equation, potash shareholders? As you just pointed out, potash stock took off like a rocket during the commodities boom of 2008. It peaked at some $230. That's pretty recent memory for many people. Now, granted, the stock market has had some tough times since then, but they keep hearing about how we're in the middle of an agricultural commodities boom. Maybe they think they can get north of $200.
I think that would be pretty difficult, and again, whether it would make sense for BHP to offer that kind of number. I mean, BHP does have its own projects that are underway that could get startup as early as late 2015 and be pretty sizable, and I think they'd have a hard time with $200 a share in particular. I think the price at 130 is certainly not going to fly with shareholders, simply because we've seen pricing near that in the last few months. I think it peaked out at near 128 or 129 in the last 3 to 4 months.
Charles, do you think we will see, with about 30 seconds to go, anybody else step into this ring? The Chinese maybe, Rio Tinto, we've heard probably not from them, or Vale. What do you think?
We think the Chinese could definitely take a look at this, and if possible, it might even be in joint with a company like a Vale here, where Vale would run the operation and the Chinese would certainly have a lot of offtake. There's certainly a lot of interest and a lot of need there, but whether a bid comes in is still in the air. But
okay, and one last thing: if some kind of agreement is reached, it's going to require regulatory review. The Canadians reserve the right to reject these kinds of big acquisitions if they identify the target as a strategic asset. Do you think that's possible for Potash Corporation?
I think they might have to review it if there is a Chinese buyer involved. It's possible that BHP might still pass muster here.